Hello, friends, family, and first-time viewers. We're glad you're here with the Ask the Doctor show, brought to you by the Wellness Company, the hero doctors at the Wellness Company, friends of the show, and here to inform us on all things health. And today we are with the world-renowned, yes, world-renowned Dr. Alejandro Diaz, and I can get into his incredible resume here. But when it comes to pediatrics, he has had a private practice for 17 years. He's an expert in allergist and immunology, and he really is just an incredible source of information. And so what we want to do today is we want to talk to first-time pregnant mothers. Maybe you've had a couple pregnancies by now. We want to talk about things that you can expect when you're pregnant, things you can expect after pregnancy. We want to talk about little things, little tricks that he's learned over the years to help that process go as smoothly as possible. Diet, exercise, all of these questions. We're going to try to answer as many as we can today with Dr. Diaz. Doctor, great to see you today.
Oh, and thank you so much for having me back on your show.
So let's start right here. When you hear from a first-time pregnant woman, they come to your practice, what is the number one concern they have? What is the number one question that they come to you with?
Great question, Owen. So definitely number one concern for pregnant mothers, especially those that are their first pregnancy, is how can I take care of my baby in my womb? So it's important first, and I would like to say this because this is important for me, and I would like to share this with you and your audience. I'm a Christian person, and I do believe in the wonderful miracle of life since conception, since the magic and the enlightening of conception. So we have to take care of that beautiful baby in the womb, that it will be there for from 38 to 42 weeks in all sort of aspects. From the mother's standpoint, the quality of her thoughts, the quality of her diet, the quality of her, OBGYN supervision all the time, going every month. Well, at the beginning, every month, and then it will spread up a little bit. To understand exactly that the organ genesis, which is the formation of the organs and systems as well, you'll take, virtually on the most critical weeks are the first 8 weeks. So it's important to eat well, be hydrated, take the supplements, important supplements their OBGYN will recommend. They're the experts on the field. They take care of the baby during those 38 to 42 weeks, and then we'll take care of the baby afterwards. But it's important that process, it's extremely important. But the quality of their thoughts, of their mom thoughts, it's very important because that matters. And it matters. The baby, it's sensing and having those, that building that relationship in the womb with the quality of the thinking of his or her, their mom. So I think that is critical.
That's something you said at first too. I noticed that you said that first. I don't think many other doctors would come to that first. It might be something that they do recommend at some point in time, but it's interesting that you said that first. And I do agree. It's so important, the environment. We do hear about stress, right? We're learning more. We've learned a lot about what happens when the human body is under stress, and then how that can be passed on to the baby, and then different issues that could arise during pregnancy, after pregnancy because of that. So it is something that maybe a lot of pregnant women aren't thinking of. So I find that interesting that you lead with that. I am curious though, is there something, because I want to get more into diet and exercise, but is there something that you're constantly seeing pregnant women get wrong? Or is there something consistently you're seeing, like they're getting bad advice on something? Have you ever seen that consistency where it's like, maybe it's a popular book, or maybe it's a popular health tip for pregnant women, and you're like, oh no, not again, here we are. Has there ever been anything like that?
Oh, yes, Owen. So one of the there are myths during pregnancy. Yeah, you shouldn't do this. You should do this, and there's a lot of misinformation here and there. One of the shocking things that I've been reading lately is that folic acid. I mean, we've learned at medical school the importance of folic acid, but there are other currents in medicine that they're starting to say that folic acid perhaps is not the best thing for the neurodevelopment of the baby. So there are a lot of misinformation here and there. So basically, what moms they need to do is they need to find the right doctor. I am very holistic kind of doctor, very I want to say like a functional medicine kind of doctor that as natural as we can treat with exercises, the right diet, the best nutrition we can get, best hydration, and I cannot emphasize enough about the quality of the thoughts of the mom, because that really matters. So I really think that if we put all into one piece, we will have a very good outcome. And then one of the things that I advise regularly moms is that they have to be very careful about the medications they're taking. I am very hesitant to give any sort of medications to the moms, even if they have a cold, or common cold, or things along that line. I don't want to get into antibiotics, antivirals, and other types of medications, because that information that the mom is taking through the oral route or injectable route or so on and so forth will definitely at some sort will impact the baby. So I'm very hesitant. Obviously, when there is an emergency, or there's like mothers with asthma or severe allergy reactions or things along that line, like let's say a mother with asthma, which is very common during pregnancy, and they're starting to cough, and this severe chronic cough that can harm the baby. Just the process of the coughing and the mechanism of coughing. Of course, you have to give them some inhalers, but there are very few inhalers that you can provide during asthma during pregnancy. So those kind of tips are very important. And the other thing is that you want the mother to feel secure, you want the mother to feel relaxed during pregnancy, and just talk about the wonder of pregnancy, and they will deliver beautiful babies.
When it comes to diet, we think about you think about, okay, what's good for the brain, what's good for maybe bone development, muscle development, heart development. How targeted of a diet can we have when women are pregnant to develop such things? Things like, are we sourcing iodine through diet? Are we sourcing iodine through supplements? What are some diet tips or diet advice that you like to give pregnant women?
Great question. So definitely the source of iodine, it's in various food products that we regularly eat. But also the other thing, the other side of the token, the processed food, those processed foods, and those unfortunately microplastics, nanoplastics that we are getting through diet, and it's terrible. And those just harm any organism. And I would like to just rephrase what Hippocrates said many years ago. Let food be thy medicine, and let medicine be thy food. So they want to eat natural, real food, natural products. You get your vitamins sourced through vegetables, and obviously protein, as organic as they can. It's important that, because if it's not organic, there's a lot of process there. And as a pediatrician, I can tell you firsthand that I have seen tremendous alteration in the genetic pattern with this, chromosomal alterations and different syndromes and so on and so forth. that I really think they're related to all these toxics, environmental toxics, and microplastics and nanoplastics and things along that line. We have been attacked through the food and water source for years, and we are seeing the end product of this, not only with chromosomal alterations, but also neurodevelopment problems. All this increased insanity of ADHD and autism and things along that line. It's just insane. I didn't see that when I was growing up, during the 70s, but I see it all the time now.
Well, and the other thing that's really come up lately, especially with this administration and the Make America Healthy Again movement, we're finally starting to get questions asked and perhaps even answered as far as what's causing this rise in autism and maybe some other learning disabilities, mental disabilities. The one thing that they are trying to convince us that they've landed on is that it's Tylenol or some of these other pills like that. Of course, there's discussions about perhaps different vaccines could be involved in this. I'm still more convinced it's the vaccines than anything else. But where do you land on that? Are you more of a just try to avoid it all at all costs because we're not sure at this point? Or do you think it's pretty confident we know what caused these spikes?
This is a very tough, very deep, and very important topic. As a pediatrician, allergist, immunologist, global health specialist, father of four, a Christian doctor, Christian person, I have to put all the things in one bucket and understand and be faithful to not only my faith, but my principles, my morals, my family, my patients, and the world now that I've been speaking virtually all over the world. This is hard to say, and many pediatricians don't like me, but we have been indoctrinated in medical schools everywhere in the world, regardless if you went to school in Mongolia, Iran, or Argentina, Mexico, anywhere. We have been indoctrinated since day one to work for the pharmaceutical industry. That is the inconvenient truth. They will never tell you that. So you want to be a good doctor, you want to have your white coat, you better behave, you better say what we tell you to say. And you're going to be a prescription pusher. And there are wonderful products. I don't want anybody to get me wrong. Wonderful products that have saved many lives and so on and so forth. But there's some other harmful products out there that unfortunately they haven't gone through what we call, as a researcher, double-blind placebo-controlled trials. And guess which products haven't gone that route ever? Vaccines. Mm-hmm. Vaccines. You're very young, Owen, but when I was growing up, I never knew anybody with autism. Nobody. Now, you ask any average for a grade kid, and they will tell them by name. Now, back in my days, it was like 1 in every 10,000. Now it's 1 in every 32. It's crazy. What is the only common variable? Unfortunately, vaccines. Vaccines. And I know it's hard, and with this rise of measles kind of epidemic, not only in the United States, but also in Mexico. I think that systems, they learned that they can manipulate very easy people through the fear of epidemics and infectious and communicable diseases. It seems that we didn't learn anything after the COVID operation. And we have to learn of our past. And I kind of predicted the pandemic a year before it happened in the third week of October 2018. And I've been following that COVID operation and the rollout of the so-called vaccines that, as you know, I call them toxic injectable products of experimentation. We are seeing the deadliest side effects of those injectable products: cancer like never before, heart issues like never before, alterations in the autoimmune disease, thyroid, and skin problems, and so on and so forth. And we need more research. We need more committed doctors and scientists to bring exactly the motto of make America healthy again. Good enough is that the world follows what the United States do. And the MAHA movement, I really think if they continue this great route and this great path that they're following, a lot of countries will follow. And then probably in the next 20, 30 years, 40 years, we will have a very healthy society. As you know, in the Bible, Genesis 6:3, it says that we shall live until 120 years. And we are designed to live that long. Just recently came back from India. I was invited at the YPO Vitality and Longevity Summit. And it's amazing how people everywhere in the world, after the COVID operation, I mean, they starting to look for ways to live healthier and longer. And we can achieve that. But we also have to find out ways and more natural pathways to get into those goals.
You know, what was so convincing for me when I kind of started looking into this issue with autism and it being on the rise, there were two things. One was when you look at the graph, if you look at a line graph of autism rates, it's almost perfectly aligned with the vaccination rates schedule. So it was like we had a couple vaccines, autism was here, and then more vaccines and more vaccines. It's like the two line graphs of how many vaccines kids are getting versus how much autism kids are getting. It's like almost perfectly aligned. And then the other thing that got me too was, this is just science. Males have a thinner blood-brain barrier than females, and that's why the autism rates in boys are higher. Now, that might be a little more theoretical as far as if that's actually a cause or not. But those were the two things that kind of stuck out to me, and I said, wow, okay, this actually adds up. This actually makes sense. And I think that you kind of nailed it on the head. It is difficult for doctors to have this realization. It is difficult for our country to even have the conversation that has our medical institution here been turned into a profit center for big pharma. It's an uncomfortable conversation to have for obvious reasons, and yet it's obviously a necessary one, and I think we're starting to reverse it. And the other issue too is, this can be when you go into a doctor's office or a hospital or anything else, there is a bit of an intimidation factor. There is kind of a bit of a pressure factor, and it shouldn't be that way. It should be the opposite. And I think that maybe these two things are kind of intertwined too. It's like once it kind of became this institution for profit instead of healthcare, that's when it kind of turned into a pressure cooker situation. And now more people are looking outside of hospitals, looking outside of mainstream medicine. They're looking for holistic ways. They're looking for private practices like yours. And so even though we kind of went through this dark age, let's say, with all the vaccines and then maybe culminating with COVID and those injections, it does seem like that was maybe the darkest, hopefully, before the dawn. And since then, a lot of people, I think, are having an awakening to this, a lot of doctors and the doctors at the Wellness Company, by the way. And this is why we teamed up with the Wellness Company here, folks, because it was the hero doctors over there during the pandemic that stood up and have continued to stand up since and say, hey, there are other options. And we can present these other options, whether it's ivermectin or so many other things. I know the one thing right now that you guys are very excited about is a product that you guys just launched, which came from one of the team members over there who did survive cancer, and she launched Shield. And so since it is National Cancer Prevention Month this February, now more than ever, we need to be asking what each of us can do to lower our chances of cancer. Of course, who wouldn't? If you or a loved one is battling cancer, we need to make sure that no stone is left unturned. And folks, they leave so many unturned. When you go through the mainstream medical facilities, most stones, they don't even turn over. They want you to go right back to the same thing that really hasn't worked, quite frankly. And so that's where the Wellness Company comes in. That's where the great team of doctors with the Wellness Company comes in. You've heard of them by now, especially if you listen to this show, like Dr. Kelly Victory, Dr. Peter McCullough, our guest today, Dr. Diaz. The Wellness Company and their doctors are medical professionals you can trust. They've proven it. They have committed to providing safe, low-cost alternatives to big pharma, from ivermectin to methylene blue, and now their new fantastic product, Shield, and so much more. So, folks, learn about Shield, and it's something you can take for cancer prevention. And go to twc.health/Owen, twc.health/Owen, and use promo code Owen for 10% off. Promo code Owen for 10% off at twc.health/Owen. These doctors came to our aid during the COVID tyranny, and now they have a company that you can continue with that aid to this day, twc.health/Owen. Now, doctor, when we look at, let's say, exercise, because I know you kind of mentioned coughing, and I know that's not considered an exercise, but there's, it's your abdomens. That's one thing I know pregnant mothers hear a lot about is, taking care of the muscles and different things you can and can't do around the abdomen and that, because obviously that's where the baby is at. What are some good exercises they can do? What are some bad exercises they can do during pregnancy? And then maybe we can talk about after pregnancy too. But during pregnancy, what are some successful exercise routines that you've seen work for people? What are things that you've seen not go well for people? A lot of women, they want to exercise and they are thinking about, okay, what is my body going to look like afterwards? What is some good advice as far as exercise is concerned?
Definitely one of the main goals we want to achieve is that we want to increase blood flow, and obviously the main purpose of blood flow is to increase oxygen. That's it. And nutrients as well. But oxygen, that's the molecule we want to increase to have a beautiful baby, well developed, and everything, all organ and system stages at each week that are critical, specifically during the first trimester. Specifically during the first 8 weeks, those are critical. You have to increase that. So one very safe and very simple way to do that is aerobic. To walk, just to walk, that will increase blood flow, increase oxygen, and so on and so forth. The mom will feel great. You're not stressing your muscles that much, because obviously that stressing of the muscle will decrease a little bit of oxygen, and it will create lactic acid, and you don't want to have that. So just I will definitely recommend increasing your aerobic through just regular walking. That will be like the simplest and easiest way to achieve that.
I already know some women that may be listening to this. I know them. They're friends of mine. They want a little more, doctor. They're looking for a little more. Walking is not going to do it for them. They like getting after it in the weight room. They like making sure that their exercise makes them sweat, makes them sore. For kind of a gym junkie like that, is there anything you say, all right, you want to push the limit a little bit here? Here's what you can do, and here's what, if you do, could maybe have a bad side effect?
Well, it gets tricky. It gets tricky, Owen, because I know that there are some women that they like to practice, like hardcore exercise, and definitely I do not recommend that, because they can harm themselves. They can harm the baby. They fail or something. So they have to be cautious about that. Probably light weights, just light weights. But there's nothing better than you can do walking and fast walking, definitely. But the goal is just to increase blood flow and increase the delivering of oxygen. That will be like my best tip ever. Definitely. There are some people even that they speak about yoga. I'm not very familiar with yoga, but I have seen a lot of women practicing yoga during pregnancy. And as you know, there's a lot of different exercises, but I don't want to get into that area where I don't have that expertise. I just want to protect as much as I can the mom and the baby.
Yoga, that's mostly about flexibility and balance, and so that would be pretty impressive if you could continue to do yoga at 7+ months when the belly starts to emerge. That'd be pretty impressive if you could somehow pull that off. Have you ever seen, I'm curious, because this is what I was thinking of. There was a video, it was massively viral maybe a couple years ago. Some big CrossFit trainer, this lady was really big into CrossFit. She might have been a competitor, and she was like 8 months pregnant. And she's out here running around doing box jumps, monkey bars. She's doing deadlifts and all this stuff. She's got this huge belly. I don't know if you saw that. If you saw that, would you start like cringing a little bit, or would you be like, wow, impressive?
No, I wouldn't recommend that, definitely. And you know, we can spend a long hour or 2 hours talking about why not. But it's just it's risky. I mean, it's risky. So you know, everybody will have their opinion. Everybody will look for the right answers, and you know, I would like to do this, I would like to do that. But I think that anything like CrossFit and things like that, they're kind of aggressive, and we have to understand that there's a new body developing in another body, and we really have to take care of that baby as much as we can. And you know, there are traumas, and there are traumas that the baby can receive during those hard and intense workouts.
So stick to the walks.
I would like to say yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, but there are different kind of walks. I mean, you can do your walk regularly. You're gonna be sweating. You're gonna be breathing. You're gonna have this rhythm breathe and harmonious exercise. Or you can do fast walk. Even running. I oh my God, it's this is hard. This is hard, but probably very soft running.
I don't know. I feel like there'd be a certain time where you physically couldn't run anymore. I wouldn't know from personal experience. I don't know. It is the 21st century these days. Who knows?
I know.
But yeah, that would seem a little bit more difficult once you got past a certain time to even be able to run. Would you say then? Is there a point in time then maybe where it's like, okay, now you need to stop? It's like maybe you can do some of your normal exercise routines, say maybe to 3 or 4 months. But then it's like once the baby gets to a certain size or a certain point, it's like now you have to consider, hey, let's slow it down. Let's stick to walking. Let's stick to some other aerobics.
Yeah, of course. So basically, after the 6th month, that will be appropriate to start, you know, cooling down a little bit and continue with your walking, your fast walking, and everything. And obviously, the best tips will be, of course, do not smoke, don't drink alcohol. Just take care of as much as you can of your diet. Try to get as organic food as you can, and I mean, those are basically the main tips. There's not nothing hidden under the sun. I mean, just imagine back in the day where there were no supplements or no nothing, and the babies, they were born perfectly normal. So sometimes when we played a little bit over, I think is when we have consequences.
Yeah.
So as natural as possible. That will be my number one tip. And you're on the safe spot right there.
When I think, you know, I hear you talking about blood flow, I hear you talking about oxygen, you know, to me that's red, you know, red and dark fruits and vegetables. That's kind of, you know, if you want to keep it simple, anything that's red, anything that's dark, you know, beets, stuff like that, you know, that's the stuff that's going to increase oxygen flow. That's the stuff that's going to help with that. So, you know, different fruits and vegetables, you can kind of tell just by color what's going to be good for it. What about protein? What is the best protein you think for pregnant women to consume?
Well, definitely animal protein, your natural protein. You're going to get it from chicken, from red meat, from fish, and things along that line. There's a saying that I never found the real science behind it, that pregnant women, they cannot, or they don't who are they, I don't know, but they don't suggest to eat sushi. Have you ever heard of that?
I have. I'm not sure if that's more of this kind of anti-parasite movement, or if you know, that's the only health thing I've ever seen associated with it as far as the negative side effects is uncooked, you know, uncooked fish might have parasites. Other than that, I've not heard any negative health effects.
Yeah, correct. That was the exactly the the saying there that there's potentially parasites or even some bacteria. But that's true for any other food. I mean, if we think about it, but just the source of animal protein, I think it will be like the best protein you can get. I don't really think that you need a supplementation. Obviously, additional supplementation during pregnancy. After pregnancy, that's a complete different story. But during pregnancy, I'm extremely cautious about that. So, like for example, at my office, I don't see pregnant women, obviously, because I'm a pediatrician. But many moms, they have their other kids and they bring in their pregnant during the visit, and they ask me every now and then on tips about that. And I always tell them, do your exercise and please do not take any medication unless it's extremely necessary, or obviously it is an emergency. But other than that, just keep it as natural as, get your hydration, get your electrolytes, your protein source from your animal source, and vegetables, fruits, just rich diet.
All right, I do want to get into to when they're born now. I want to get into the kid phase of this, and this is really your best expertise, perhaps. And I'll start with this. Did you see there was a study that was done? I don't remember when it was. There was a study that was done where they gave, I think for 2 years, there were 2 kids. I could be wrong about the timeline here, but they had 2 kids, and one they gave an egg to every day to eat. They ate 1 egg. The other kid, they did not do the egg every day. And the development that they saw, you might think physically, but actually it was more so mentally, it was more so intellectually. The development that they saw with the kid getting an egg every day was measurably better than the kid that did not get an egg every day. I don't know if you're familiar with this study, but what about when they're kids? How important is it for them to get eggs? Is it really a staple? Do they need to be getting eggs?
Yeah, I think eggs are a wonderful source of protein, especially during the first couple of years of life. I mean, throughout your life, the first couple of years of life, when the kid is growing and developing and neurodeveloping. So I think it's a very important source of protein. You get your many proteins and biotin, which is very good for neurodevelopment. And so egg, it's a wonderful food. But as an allergist, I can tell you that it's one among the 8 most common foods that they can develop allergy, like peanuts and soy and tree nuts and fish and so on and so forth. But egg is a fantastic and phenomenal source of protein. Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear. I drink about 12 raw eggs a day, and people think I'm crazy for it.
Really?
Wow. I've been doing it for, I guess 3, 4, 5 years now. Time flies. Yeah, 12 raw eggs. Exactly. They hide these secret health tips in movies like Rocky. Yeah, I think that Rocky was onto something there, and he was the champ. So you
take 12 each day.
Yeah, I do 6 in the morning and then 6 sometime in the evening as well. Yeah.
Probably that's why you look so great.
I know it can be a little gross and intimidating at first, but once you get used to it, it's actually great because you can get there. And if I'm in a rush in the morning and I don't want to sit down or make or have breakfast, boom, 6 raw eggs, I'm done in 30 seconds and I'm moving about my day. Very, very efficient, very efficient. So what else though, when we're talking about, because it's, parents, you're always looking, people are looking for shortcuts. Everyone's looking for shortcuts in their life. And sometimes that ends up being in diet. It ends up being in food. What other kind of things is it easy to say, hey, this is a healthy option for your kid, a healthy option for your infant, your toddler, whatever. And that it's a good thing. Things like, avocado, different fruits. How is it that, is there advice that you might give mothers with kids that are saying, hey, I don't have time to cook all this food. I don't have time to prepare all this food. What is something easy for mothers to just say, hey, here's a good option for you. It's quick, it's easy, and it's healthy.
You mentioned avocado. Avocado, it's an amazing source of good fatty and oils and fatty acids and so on and so forth. Great protein source, and you're talking about something easy: scrambled eggs, a little bit of ham, and avocado. That's easy. That's easy to make. It's a great source. As a pediatric allergist, immunologist, I see a lot of allergic kids, and it will take me again to one of our topics before. Back in my day when I was growing up, my parents were growing up. You didn't see allergies. You didn't see food allergies. Where are those allergies are coming from? I mean, I see my clinic is a busy clinic. I see a lot of kids, and I am worried and preoccupied that I see these kids coughing all the time with running nose, and they have this sore throat, and they have this upper respiratory infection, and so on and so on. And so on. A lot of allergic diseases, allergic to foods, specifically peanuts, milk, cow milk, and egg. Where is this allergies coming from specifically during the last 25 to 30 years? And it will lead me back to vaccines. I mean, that's the inconvenient truth. And we know that. We just, I recommend to all of my moms the amazing book of Dr. Paul Thomas, the vaccine friendly book. He, with his own population back in Oregon, he showed that the unvaccinated kids, they are healthier, much healthier, less asthma, less allergic rhinitis, less eczema, atopic dermatitis, less frequently upper respiratory infections, much less ADHD, much less autism, and so on and so forth. So I will definitely encourage our scientists, our doctors, our competent doctors to do more research on double-blind, placebo-controlled trials on vaccines. So we can, I'm not saying that I'm against vaccines at all, don't get me wrong, but all I'm saying is that we need more deep research so we can have, and they can develop the best vaccines for our kids, but not the ones, probably not the ones that we have right now, because I can see it firsthand. I see these kids and I say, there's no reason why this kid, it's always sick. It kind of frustrate myself a lot, because I just, my number one goal is to have healthier kids. That's what I want in my practice.
Well, it is a difficult conversation to have, but I know now multiple families that have a bunch of kids, and they kind of had this awakening, let's say, or they did their own research now, and they had their first couple of kids. They had the normal vaccine schedule, and then and you alluded to the study earlier, and then they had a couple other kids and they didn't do any vaccines, and they'll tell you, be like, yeah, the development with the kids that didn't get the vaccine was a lot better. They were bigger, they were stronger, they were reading faster. You could see it. They witnessed it. I've got multiple families like this that I know personally. It's difficult. It's difficult to think about that. It's difficult to say that. It's difficult to look at your child that you did give the vaccine, and I've never gone through that, but I can only imagine, at least for a moment, that being a little difficult to comprehend that happened. But that's why it's so important that people get informed. That really is why it's so important. Are there any products specifically that the wellness company has? You can finish that thought. I didn't mean to interrupt. And then if there's any products specifically that the wellness company has that you would suggest for mothers that are pregnant or just had a baby, or even for young kids?
Oh yeah, we have our adult line of products, and the kids, our gummies and our vitamins and probiotics and everything. I encourage everybody to just look at our website, and they will see, there are a lot of products there, a lot of different and an amazing line of products. We take it personally. My family take it, my kids, my wife. And let me tell you my personal story. Owen, I'm a father of 4 boys. And as I said at the beginning of our conversation, that every single doctor in the world has been indoctrinated. I was one of them. So I did vaccinate my kids. I did vaccinate my kids with the first batch of route of vaccines. But when I woke up and I understood that there was something wrong with these vaccines, I stopped any kind of vaccines with my kids. But even with the first batches of vaccines for my four boys, my four boys, they're allergic. They have allergic rhinitis, all of them. It was a moment that I stopped everything. No more vaccines for my kids. Just hear me signing all these affidavits for schools and things like that. I really like to echo and applaud what Secretary of Health at the state of Florida, Dr. Joseph Ladapo, and Governor DeSantis are doing, that they're not mandating any more vaccines in the state of Florida. So at the end of the day, regardless of what you think and how you think and what kind of information you have and so on and forth, and you have been indoctrinated or not, it has to become as a personal decision between parents and your medical provider. But we need more conscious doctors in the world. We need more conscious doctors that they go beyond what we have taught in medical school. And, because unfortunately, medical school, we lose the most powerful tool for a doctor, which is common sense. Look what happened during the COVID operation. There was no common sense. Doctors were the first line of vaccine pushers worldwide. At the beginning, when I was talking about this, Owen, because I was the first opposer of that, I said no vaccines, no COVID vaccines. And I spoke at many of the parliaments in the world, Japan, Mexico, the US, Brussels, everywhere, you name it, Germany, everywhere, saying that out loud. At the beginning, everybody was like, what are you talking about? I mean, everybody's going to die, and we need those vaccines. And now we know the truth. And now we're waking up. So we need more conscious doctors about this, because we need serious medicine. We need, commitment medicine, and just help as many people as we can, and just rephrasing Hippocrates' philosophy. Primum non nocere, first do no harm.
Well, and that's why the team of doctors at the Wellness Company, you guys were on the front lines. You were the first ones to stand up and say, hey, this doesn't make sense. This isn't common sense. We need to reevaluate. We need to rethink. Of course, you guys endured a lot. You endured a lot of attacks, but you've come out clean on the other side. You've come out right on the other side. I did notice I was searching through some of these products here on the site. Obviously the gummies for kids here. It's an amazing thing now when we look back, and there were so many of these vitamins that were kind of pushed onto kids, and they would put a nice cartoon character on it, maybe a nice flavor in it, whatever. And as we learned more over the years, we found out that most of these candies, essentially, that they said were good for kids, these supplement candies that they said were good for kids, we kind of look back on it now and we realize it was barely anything. Like, they barely put anything of substance actually in these products that, they were cute. They were fun. Cartoon character's face, cherry flavor, whatever. You ate it. The parents thought we're doing something good for the kids. The kids think it tastes good. Okay, everybody wins. And you look back on it now, and we kind of look at some of those products. Some studies have been done, and they realize that there's basically nothing in them. There was virtually nothing in them, and maybe we're not even sure if it was a positive or negative or neutral as far as the health benefits. You guys have a bunch of different gummies here on your site. Was that something you guys were thinking about when you developed these gummies, specifically for kids? Was that something you were thinking about, like, hey, let's actually have a product that's directed for children, that parents can know the children are getting something out of it, instead of some chalky candy that was basically probably a net neutral, I think we've learned here in time.
100%. So basically that was the main concern. That was the purpose, to just have the best source of ingredients, natural products, and so on and so forth. And what you just touched, that a very interesting point, and I've been dealing with that for many years and talking to parents about that not all vitamins are created equal. We have some sources, in different parts of the world, that they're not only placebo. So there's nothing there. There's no beneficial. There's probably only a little bit of sugar. That's it, just placebo. But other than that, which is worse than that, is that we have learned that in many instances they have toxic ingredients, and then you start to see this burst of acne and this burst of GI problems and things like that. When I ask at the office, is your son, your daughter taking anything, any medication? No, nothing. Is it taking this? So I go through the deep medical history. There's nothing. And then at the end, oh, the only thing he's taking or she's taking is vitamins. Where do you think it's coming from?
Yeah.
So things along that line. So I'm very proud of the amazing team that the wellness company was able to put together. Like, Dr. Peter McCullough, one of the most recognized cardiologists in the world, Dr. Kelly Victory, Dr. Thorpe, Dr. Harvey Rich, Dr. Pence, Dr. Drew, Dr. Pensky, and an amazing group of doctors, committed doctors with their patients, with society, with the Hippocratic Oath, the first do no harm, and things along that line. And I really think that medicine, it's turning towards that way. And I think that will be the best thing that we can experience as a society.
Yeah. Well, and it's so, I feel I was very lucky growing up. My dad was an athlete. My mom was always very health conscious, kind of a health maximalist. So I was kind of raised with that healthy diet, always health conscious, health mindset. But then as I kind of, became my own person, as far as that's concerned, you do learn a lot. You do learn a lot as far as supplement quality is concerned. And you realize that there really is a big difference in the quality of supplement. And so there's a lot of companies, and it's the free market, and this is what's going to happen. The free market is going to adapt to people that want a cheaper product and people that want a better product. But what you learn over time is that the quality of the product is actually everything. And if you're trying to, save money, and everybody is, a lot of these supplement companies have basically been found just putting junk and filler in their supplements, and you're barely getting anything out of it. And you're better off finding a quality supplement. And most of the time, do your research. Most of the time it's going to be worth the money. And the wellness company certainly balances that and delivers on both of those fronts. But that was something I learned, because I started really getting into supplements. I mean, I started taking supplements in grade school even, but in high school, and now in my older years, I probably do like maybe 10 or 12 supplements a day. And it really is, I kind of consider it, it's like a modern marvel of health hacks. It really is. It's a great technology we've been able to do here to kind of source out supplements and say, okay, I'm making sure I'm getting my vitamin D, or I'm making sure I'm getting boron, or all this other stuff. NAC, there's so much stuff that you got to make sure you're getting, you might not be getting in your diet, or not enough of it. And so it really has come a long way. And as somebody that's a big supplement head, it's nice when you can find a company that you can trust for quality. Because trust me, folks, you go out there, a lot of these companies are selling supplements with filler. They're selling supplements that doesn't have very high quality stuff. Some of them have even been caught, basically stuff runs off of the belt, or, falls out of the bag, and they still put it into their products. So you're not going to get any of that with the wellness company. And by the way, you do say there's so many products there. It's actually insane. Every time I go to your guys' website, it seems like a new product has just popped up, like Shield. You guys are selling beef now too, by the way. You got beef over there. I don't even know how you keep up with all the stuff you got there. They're constantly sending me like, hey, here's all the new products. I'm like, what are you talking? You just sent me a new product. They're like, yeah, well, we got a new product now.
Yeah, it's growing tremendously. An amazing group of people, very, very committed people with society. And, there is a trend. I mean, for the last 30 years, you can ask anybody, and virtually everybody's taking supplements. Here, vitamins here, supplements here, but virtually everybody. But the key the key is, where are you getting your source of supplements? Which source, which company, and everything. So I personally really trust the wellness company. That's why I joined the wellness company, because I think they're doing an amazing job at, committed people, trustworthy people, and just trying to put together the best quality ingredients for the best outcome, and support healthy living conditions. And my tips to everybody: try to quit smoking if you're smoking. Try to lower down your alcohol intake. Do your walking, do your sunlight exposure, get your natural source of vitamin D. Lift weights. Just try to live as healthy life as you can. And the other important aspect that not many doctors talk about, this: the quality of our thoughts. What are we are seeing, what are we are hearing, and things like that. They really impact our aging. They really impact our quality of life, and they really impact our overall health.
Do you bring that up at your practice? You've brought it up multiple times on the show. Do you bring that up at your practice a lot? Here might be a direct example, and I've seen a lot of the other people commenting on this, but we see, I think, kids entertainment, and look, some people demonize cartoons and everything. Whatever. I don't think something is inherently bad, but I do think there's a phenomenon of the cartoons that kids are watching, or the shows that kids are watching. You go back and you watch some of these shows from like when I was growing up in the 90s or early 2000s. There's kind of a general happiness. There's a general sense of color, of life, of joy, and then maybe even like a good message at the end. And it seems like some of these new shows that are popping up on these once popular cartoon channels are now on these streaming services. They seem like really dark. The color, the energy, the vibe. It doesn't. Is this something that you hear about? Is this something that you talk about at your practice? Because it does seem to be a conversation now. It does seem to trend in conversations that I'm seeing when I'm just kind of doing media critic work here. A lot of people are saying, and the numbers are bearing it out too, by the way. The numbers are showing that now the shows that are streaming from on these different streaming services, shows from the 90s, early 2000s, they are now the most popular shows for kids, and the new stuff that they're putting out is kind of just falling flat.
100%, 100%. And I definitely, all the time, I touch those topics with my parents, with everybody at my office who go and visit. They have to watch what their kids are watching all the time. Back in my days, those, I don't want to say brands, but all those movies and the cartoons and everything, there were hidden messages, because the number one task for those entertainment companies is that they want to indoctrinate people. So at the beginning, back in the 70s and everything, there were hidden, very, very light hidden messages. Now it's full blown. It's right there. It's graphic. Back in my day, it was very difficult. You didn't have access to technology. You didn't have access to information, everything. Now it's in the palm of their hands. It's digital. They can have access to not only cartoons and things like that, but unfortunately, they have access to pornography. And that it's really missing with their minds and their spirits.
They're even like slipping it into these kid shows, I think. The way they're depicting some of these characters now, it's ridiculous.
It is crazy. If we want to live in a healthier society, we better start creating a conscious society through our kids, because the present and the future of societies, by far, definitely, are our kids. Yeah. You go to Europe. I go kind of frequently to Europe, and one of the things that I'm very impressed, you don't see kids anymore. You see older population. So infertility rates are rising after the rollout of the vaccines, but also the trends, the social trends.
Yeah.
If we don't pay attention to those things, those hidden messages, we're gonna pay the consequences. We're starting paying right now the first batch of consequences. But I don't know if we don't do anything right now. I'm afraid to see what's going to be in the next 50 years.
Well, that's another conversation for another day. That I have seen people talking about the birth rates, but why? And I think there are two reasons. There's the chemical warfare against humanity, but there's the isolation aspect that we have happening too. I know we got to let you go real quick. We had a question from somebody in the audience here, Alex McCarthy. Did he miss the peptide combo? He's been considering it. We did not talk about peptides today. Do you want to give a brief comment on peptides before we let you go?
Great question. So peptides, it's a big topic. It's a new trend as well. And the wellness company, it's putting a facility together to the research and development of peptides. And that's coming soon. And we're going to be big on peptides. I really think those are products that many people in different circumstances should take. It will just increase and regenerate your cells, detox your cells, increase the protein production, muscle mass, and so on and so forth. So peptides, it's a wonderful source of longevity and vitality, definitely.
Yeah, that's definitely the next big trend in supplements and in personal well-being and healthcare. I'm seeing that trending, so I'm glad to hear that the wellness company is all over that. But I'm not surprised. You guys are always on the cutting edge. Dr. Alejandro Diaz, we appreciate your time. We hope that any pregnant mothers or first-time mothers can find this information useful. And if you do want to find any of the great products, go to twc.health/Owen. Remember, Shield is available right now. Coupon code Owen will get you 10% off. God bless, Godspeed, and thank you, Dr. Diaz.
Thank you, Owen. Thank you so much.